Hey guys, it's Gambler Keegan. Wanted to put out a video for you. I just thought it was time. Sorry if I sound kind of beat. I just got back to Central Florida. I was evacuating from Hurricane Idalia and I drove back today. Thankfully, my apartment in Tampa was completely fine. Can't say the same for the north part of Florida. It was pretty bad driving through. It was like a tree cemetery, I'd have to say. Anyway, without further ado, the PU ladder is open in red, blue, yellow. And it is under the Ruins of Alf spotlight, the ROA spotlight on Showdown. And I just want to show you, because I feel like people don't know this spotlight exists. Like, the ladders are always dead. And they shouldn't be, because we're stuck with OU year-round, and now there's a chance to play a different tier with different Pokemon and different team setups. There's so much experimenting to do. There's so much fun to have. And there's no one even playing. There's no one even to play with. So if there's one thing I hope this video does, it's this. Let me just reconnect really quick. I have some McDonald's connection over here. So you go to the selector and you scroll to, see right here, ROA Spotlight, right in the middle. Ruins of Alf Spotlight. So every month they'll update old gens and they'll open up a ladder, like a lower tier ladder, and you can play on it. And I really think that only people who are in the know kind of know about this, and it really stinks. So I'm talking like the Smogon regulars and the people in the Discords and things like that. I feel like only they know about this, so I want to bring a little bit of publicity to this. So the Spotlight, there's a chance that it can roll a Gen 1 ladder every month. So keep your eyes peeled on that. We're going to have PU open all month, so definitely hop in and play. And I'm not just saying that for my benefit. I'm not just saying that because like I need opponents. I'm saying that because these ladders really deserve more players, and because how can you play OU for so long and not get bored? Seriously. I probably won't even be on that much, guys. I'm very, very busy these days. So anyway, that's where PU is, if you want to play it. And how do I get back? I don't know, just click something. Go back to my team builder. So we're going to talk about the team. So I have never even played a PU match or even watched a PU match until today. I saw that they were having a Ruins of Alf tournament in PU, and I watched it because I wanted to see what it was all about before I jumped into a match myself, to kind of see how the meta operated and the battle landscape worked. Additionally, I looked at some of the resources on Smogon, so we're talking the viability rankings and the sample teams to kind of give myself an idea of how the metagame played out. However, if you're planning on looking at those, there's still going to be a fair amount of mental work you'll have to do, because there was a big change recently in the tier structure. So Porygon got dropped from NU to PU, if I'm not mistaken. And the current viability ranking doesn't factor in Porygon. So when you're doing your team building, you're going to have to like mentally check everything against Porygon. So Porygon's really going to change the VR structure. A new VR hasn't come out yet that includes him. But if you're planning on building a team, make sure your picks, it doesn't matter if you think they're meta or not, make sure that you have a plan for Porygon no matter what. So like the VR currently can't be trusted. However, the sample teams on Smogon do include Porygon, so if you want to hop in with a sample team, you could probably do that, and it might have a Porygon on it. But from what I've seen and from what I've read, Porygon is a top performer. So I believe I don't know if Porygon surpasses Nidoqueen yet, but Nidoqueen is the S tier of PU. Nidoqueen is like the Tauros of PU. I shouldn't say Tauros. Nidoqueen is relatively better than Tauros in PU. Like, what's a good way to describe Nidoqueen? Nidoqueen's like the Mr. Mime of PU. Like, Nidoqueen is the best Pokemon. I don't know if Porygon dethrones it, because Porygon is just the strongest wall in the tier, but Nidoqueen is pretty darn good. Anyway, so I looked at the sample teams, and I am myself, so I didn't want to sell out to a sample team. I wanted to try to make a team using what I learned about the tier and what I thought would be a good structure. And feel free to correct me if my team is a sample team. It may be pretty close. I didn't actually click through all the sample teams. I clicked a few just to kind of give myself some brain food. But I ended up going with an alteration of one, and I'll show you in a second. So I have a soft spot for fire types, full disclosure. You guys may have seen my Charizard video. You may have seen me rocking an Arcanine on the OU ladder last month. But I've always had a soft spot for fire types because they're bad. But in PU, they're cracked. PU, fire types reign supreme. So this is Fire's true 15 seconds of fame here in PU. Anyway, so actually, let me think. Magmar, Rapidash, Arcanine. I don't know if Flareon has good utility in PU. Flareon might be on the back burner there. But that brings up another interesting point is, are they going to extend to the tier below PU, right? I can't remember how the structure goes because I don't play other generations, but it's like Ubers, OU, UU, and then would it go RU, and then NU, and then, what, ZU, and then PU? I don't know. Comment down below if you know how, like, the expanded structure works, but I do know for sure that Gen 1 doesn't have that expanded structure. So it would be interesting to see a whole nother tier develop below this one. Anyway, back to the fire types. Fire types are really popular, namely Rapidash and Arcanine. Rapidash, because of its speed tier, I think it might be one of the fastest things in the tier. I don't know if Electrode is allowed, but because Nidoqueen is Nidoqueen, using electrics is really iffy because people tend to save their Nidoqueen from what I've watched. Anyway, Rapidash is a popular lead. I'm not a big fan of Fire Spin. Like, people like the Fire Spin pivot. Even in NU, people use the Fire Spin pivot. But Fire Spin is just so inaccurate. And at some point in my Pokemon career, I just said, I'm not doing that anymore. Because you go for a pivot, and then you miss, and then you get Thunder Waved, or you get paralyzed, and then it's all over for you. You know, it's just such a risky... Pivoting off of Fire Spin is just really risky in my mind, so I don't even do it. And that adds a bit of an element of surprise, I think, because when people see a Rapidash, they think Fire Spin, correct? So, if I hadn't mentioned this already, I'm kind of using a fire theme here. I mean, I can't really call it a theme because Rapidash and Arcanine are commonly used Pokemon in PU. But I am using Rapidash and Arcanine on this team, just full disclosure. So Rapidash's lead capacity is quite good, again, because of its speed tier. And my logic here is if there's a sleeper Pokemon on the other team, I don't mind Rapidash being the sack because I have an Arcanine in the back. You know, I already have 2 fire types. Another thing to point out is just from kind of brainstorming the tier a little bit, playing a little bit, and watching some of the good players in their tournament matches, I've noticed that it's very hard to get a sleep off in PU. I mean, if you're going to do it, you better do it early because the paralysis is going to be spread, and PU is a low mobility tier, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But as for sleep, anything that can use powder is going to be hard-pressed to use it because of the commonality of fire types in PU. So you're pretty much stuck with Hypnosis on either maybe like a Ghastly or a Drowsy. And because the Pokemon who can use sleep are so frail by comparison to the rest of the meta, if you miss, it's really looking bad for you. You might not even survive a second hit if you miss your Hypnosis or miss your powder, if you're crazy enough to use a grass type in PU. Which, hey, I might try it soon myself because I'm clinically insane. Anyway, the logic of this team was kind of based on things I wasn't quite experienced with. I mean, this team did pretty good. I'm not going to... Like, my first inferences were pretty spot on regarding this team, if you couldn't tell by the title of the video. But one thing I didn't get right is how hard-pressed people are to pop off a sleep. So my Rapidash lead strategy wasn't like fully encompassing. Although if there was a sleep, I would pick Rapidash. And Rapidash is a solid lead, all other things considered. But really the thing you have to look out for if you're doubling down on fire is Ammonite. Ammonite's a very popular wall in PU against the fire-type meta. So I opted for Stomp on Rapidash because Rapidash is faster, so Body Slam, Fire Blast, Agility, Stomp. Agility if I get paralyzed and I have an opportunity to break out of it and do some more damage before I go down. And I didn't go for Hyper Beam because if I'm using Rapidash early, a smart opponent is going to predict that Hyper Beam all the time and really have an opportunity to take me down. So I went for the flinch move on the fast Pokemon. That girl. God, that girl is such a baddie. She lives so far away, though. She lives in Las Vegas, so nothing I can do there. Not planning a trip to the Wild West anytime soon. But I'm glad she's messaging me. I really am. It's good to get one that messages you back, you know what I'm saying? Okay, no one tell her I'm addicted to Pokemon. No one. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of the team. The rest of the team is kind of built around countering Ammonite, since Ammonite can absolutely dominate two of the Pokemon on my team with ease. So this is mainly why I strayed away from the sample teams, is because a lot of the sample teams contain Fearow, which is also walled by Ammonite, and I'm like, what are you doing? But Fearow is a heavy attacker in PU, and I think the other heavy attacker would be Pinsir. And with Drill Pick on Fearow, you can counter Pinsir, and Fearow can just really lay it down on anything that's not like a rock type. So for my remaining Mons, obviously I have Nidoqueen. You always got to have a Nidoqueen. That is the law of the land, apparently, in PU. I'm not nearly experienced enough in PU to try, like, random crazy teams or, like, completely non-viable teams. And that is another caveat of playing in the lower tiers, is that your pool of selection gets smaller and smaller, and therefore your ability to break through anything viable with garbage also gets smaller. So it's actually harder to cheese people with goofy teams the lower you go in the tiers because of that pool getting smaller and also the meta therefore getting stronger conversely. Anyway, so I have Drowsy, Porygon, and Staryu as my other three. So we're going to consider first three Nidoqueen, Rapidash, and Arcanine. Those are like the staples I have, and for the other three, I picked those three. So let's talk about it. Did I say Starmie? I meant Staryu. So, Staryu. Staryu is, I think, the A-tier water type in PU. It's got 268 speed and access to Thunder Wave, which is huge. Additionally, it does have Recover. The other two moves are up to you. I went with Hydro Pump and Psychic. I didn't go for Thunderbolt because of Nidoqueen switch-ins, namely. And Staryu is a baby Pokemon, so it's kind of weak. Therefore, I wanted the opportunity for Special Drops. And what else do Special Drops do? Special Drops flip the stats. So if we're both paralyzed, I'll be able to edge them out on speed with Psychic, and then hit them with a strong Hydro Pump while their special is dropped. Or I can force them into a switch. So there's just a lot more utility with using Psychic on Staryu. I went with Hydro Pump over Surf because, again, Staryu's weak, and I'm willing to risk the 20% miss to hit a Hydro Pump on something. And also the crit damage will be a lot more than Surf with Hydro Pump. So that's why I ended up going with Staryu. I can't even remember what I just said 10 seconds ago, but Staryu's primary job is to jump in against Ammonite. Now, I've already played a smart player who did the Body Slam on the Switch with Ammonite, and if you're running Ammonite, I'd heavily recommend using Body Slam because you're going to be looking at something to block it if you get the drop on a fire type with it. Anyway, Staryu is pretty much the water wall. Porygon. I think Porygon's going to be a staple on any team. I think Porygon is near Nidoqueen tier, just from what I've seen. It's the super wall of the tier. Very tough to put down, has coverage, and it also has Thunder Wave. So I think this is the standard Porygon set from what I've seen in other players' matches and what I've seen in the sample team. So I don't think it gets much better than this. I did see a sample team with a sharpened Porygon, but again, with like threats like Ammonite, you know, it's a bit risky. And if you're paralyzed, you know, something else could take you down. But I see the utility in using Sharpen because it can also flip the stats. So you're welcome to check out that Sharpen team. I didn't actually look at it. I just read the title and I said, aha, very cool. But I can't see. I think that Porygon would have to be saved a little bit later in the game to make sure that any walls are removed from it. All right. And I think that's, oh yeah, Drowsy, our boy Drowsy. So I did want to include a sleeper if the opportunity presented itself, but sleep aside, Drowsy is just a very good Pokemon to have in PU. Even though it's a baby Pokemon, it's still very bulky. It has a Stab Psychic, which is huge. I think the only other things that have Stab Psychic are Abra and Slowpoke in the meta. Also, it has Thunder Wave. Wouldn't recommend Rest because Drowsy's too baby weak to even consider healing. And I guess another thing I could touch on right now is the overall battle landscape of PU. I talked about this in my random strategy guide, but the same concept kind of applies to PU. So PU is a very short-run battle game. You don't have a whole lot of mobility to switch around and block things, and it's not because you don't have things that are good walls or that can heal, because those do still exist in PU, although more seldom. But really the big thing is you're just lacking in diversity so much. And the type diversity that you can get, you're going to end up with things that are kind of frail and you can't even really heal them, right? So things like Drowsy and Staryu, yeah, they could theoretically heal, but you're not going to want to do that. And that's what I mean by low mobility, is that if you're trying to play safe, you're kind of putting yourself at a bit more of a disadvantage because there's less places to run. The circle gets smaller as you go down in the tiers. Or the ring gets smaller, rather. So for players that utilize the lineup method, the blind sequencing GK school of Pokemon seal of approval type game style, play style, you're really going to like PU. Because I think it's much more sequence dependent and lineup dependent than it is, say, like block or heal dependent, as you would see in something like OU, you know. Every turn, every microtransaction matters a lot more. Making good predictions on a macro and micro scale matters a lot more. So, I mean, what I mean by macro scale is kind of, again, your sequencing and kind of knowing what to put out first, even though you can't see your opponent's Pokemon, you know, just kind of brainstorming, crunching those numbers in your head. And on the micro scale, I mean, really being a good predictor of what your opponent will do, because, you know, switch catching is huge in this meta. Anyway, I don't actually even think I finished Drowsy, but, you know, you've been looking at it long enough. As you can see, there's no Seismic Toss on this, because the only other thing Seismic Toss will be good against is another Drowsy. I ended up going for Flash, because if you didn't know, accuracy counts as a stat in Gen 1, even though it's not a stat. So if you lower your opponent's accuracy, you'll still flip their stats. And it also gives me a bit of a harassment factor in forcing an opponent's switch. So that's the move I chose for old Drowsy. Arcanine, yes. So this Arcanine is ironically the Arcanine that I use in OU, and I think it's quite a good Arcanine. And it's just so funny that he would end up being a superstar in PU. I actually plan on releasing some really sick Arcanine gameplay in OU before I kind of got sidetracked. But this Arcanine is quite good with Reflect and Fire Blast, meaning that you can, like, quadruple lower your opponent's attack if planned correctly. I went with Rest, and I could talk a little bit more about this Arcanine in OU. I do plan on doing an Arcanine video in OU, and I have some matches saved already. I wanted to go a little bit further on the OU ladder. I wanted to try to take the Arcanine to 1500, but like I know a lot of people watch my videos, and if they see me making a video on it, they're gonna get on the ladder and snipe my ass. So that's kind of the gambit I run by being a YouTuber. Is I can't like commit to playing heavily for like a month at a time, or people are gonna think I died on YouTube. But the downside to that is I also kind of I super lose the element of surprise the more videos I do, you know. So if I want to do something cool and like really milk it out and like take people by surprise, well, jig's up now because I just made a YouTube video on it. So if I'm already talking about Arcanine, I may as well just go ahead and release the Arcanine video. I got to 1400 with my Arcanine team in OU, just 100 off from the big 15. But I think once I release the video, people are going to see through my BS, and I won't be able to pull it off as easily as I was doing on the OU ladder. So, you know, that's just something I deal with. Anyway, guys, God, we're at 20 minutes on just the expose. The match is probably going to be like 5 or 7. So let's just go ahead and jump into the match really quick. Haha, psych. You thought this would be a match. I noticed I glossed over Nidoqueen, so for everyone suffering from OCD, sorry, I'll cover Nidoqueen now. So this Nidoqueen has a lot more options than it does in, you know, say something like OU or another tier. Because Nidoqueen is the best, Nidoqueen really has the pick of the crop on a moveset. So we have Earthquake, Fire Blast, Substitute, Thunderbolt on this, and you could do Body Slam or Blizzard if you wanted to. I picked this set in particular. So Thunderbolt works on Fearow and Water types, right? Switch-ins like that, and people expect kind of Blizzard on Nidoqueen. And then Fire Blast on Nidoqueen is actually really huge, namely for Pinsir, and also things that want to use Attack on you or Earthquake on you. You can potentially get a burn off on them and make Nidoqueen very hard to kill once their attack stat is cut in half. Fire Blast could also have utility on Fearow or other switch-ins for that matter. I ended up using Substitute just to give my Nidoqueen more living time on a switch-out. So, you know, we all know what Substitute does. Substitute is just an overall pretty good move on any Pokemon. Very utility-filled type of move. Okay, now for real, we're going to the battle. Alright, so it's going to be Rapidash, Arcanine for the leads. I don't really have a good comprehension of the leads quite yet, but this setup is just fine. I'm just going to go ahead and try to expend this Rapidash. I think this Arcanine might have Reflect. That's fine with me. I have Stomp, and really, there's nowhere I want to go against this Arcanine right now. Because, I mean, you could say Staryu, but I really worry about a Body Slam paralysis on Staryu. And again, the opportunity cost of switching in this tier is pretty high. So, I'm just going to commit to it. And a part of me also thinks that making strange commits in this tier kind of throws the players off. Like, oh, why would he do that? I think a lot of the high-tier players playing PU are kind of stuck in the OU mindset a little bit of, well, I want to try to conserve my Pokemon. I want to try to mitigate damage. And really, it just may not be the best thing to do given the metagame. So I think I do Body Slam here. Right to Ammonite. Hate to see it. All right, so I'm already at a disadvantage here. He's got an Ammonite. I mean, not all teams have an Ammonite, but this one does have an Ammonite, meaning that I'm going to have to hide Arcanine the rest of the game until this Ammonite goes away. So, not great. I think I go to Staryu here. Ooh, we get a paralysis on it. That's nice. Yeah, I go to Staryu. I don't know if he was going to do Body Slam there. He may have. You know, they're king of the ladder, so probably smarter than your average cookie, but luckily I get the full paralysis on that. So I think he predicts a Thunderbolt here. So, or Nicole, my bad. I think Nicole predicts a Thunderbolt here and goes to Arcanine because Arcanine is going to really be able to take the special attack pretty well, and then maybe jump off of Arcanine to something else, because Staryu's Thunderbolt is pretty weak. But if I remember correctly, I predict he was going to jump away from Ammonite, and I just do another Thunder Wave right here. Another Thunder Wave? Did I already do a Thunder Wave? No, that was a Body Slam. Okay, so I just do a Thunder... I predict the switch on that. So he thinks a Water attack coming. Is he right? Yeah, he's correct. You know what? I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm just going to stay in. I don't think there's anything I want to get paralyzed. I think if I brought Porygon in, she would just go back to Arcanine. And I don't think Porygon can win that fight. So I end up staying Staryu, I believe. Right? Yeah. And I'm just going to commit to special drops on Staryu. And if I die, I'm fine with it. And it's looking good. Whoa, am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? No, I don't get it. I'm going to keep attacking, though. Maybe something good will happen. Right? Maybe I can pull it off without... No, that happened. All right. I think I got a special drop here, though, and now I can recover safely. But she's going to go Drowsy. So, oh, man. Uh-oh. Okay. And then she's going to go right back to Staryu. And what did I do there? Did I... fall for it? Did I fall for it? I think I may have fell for it. So I'm not too used to the refresh in PU because, you know, that's an OU thing. But I think I did Thunder Wave right there. And she did the refresh on the Staryu. So she's still trying to preserve her Drowsy speed. And Drowsy is faster than Ammonite, so... there is some utility in using Drowsy to counter an Ammonite, which is why I'm using Drowsy. But yeah, she wants to do that. So, gonna heal. I'm stuck, and I think this other Staryu is gonna win now. Right? Unless I get a drop, right? I'm not gonna get a drop. Alright, so Staryu's down. Now I'm gonna do Porygon. And I think I predict correctly that she'd want to go Arcanine here. Or not Arcanine, but at least she switched. I was expecting the Arcanine because I think that would have been the move, but she does go Drowsy, and I think maybe she's looking for a Hypnosis now. But I did correctly predict the Thunder Wave on the switch there. So, and I think I'm just going to commit to Blizzard here. I want Porygon to go to sleep. And you might say that's controversial because it's like, well, what are you going to do against Ammonite, right? What are you going to do? Well, I'm looking, because if Porygon, I mean, she did Thunder Wave, but I was expecting Hypnosis. And if Porygon did go to sleep, that is when I would be able to switch in my own Drowsy to block the Psychic and use Flash. And you're probably wondering, well, why not throw on Rapidash? Yeah, I could. I'm trying to think right now if that would have been the move, doing Rapidash, but it could have also just done Thunder Wave, and I would have been in still a bad situation. But I do have Drowsy and Nidoqueen still, and Nidoqueen has, I think, kill range and everything, or good matchups at least on everything that Nicole has. So, I mean, they're all paralyzed, right? That is fantastic for me. So Nidoqueen's looking pretty juicy right here. And Nidoqueen is better than Drowsy, so I want to expend Drowsy first before I bring in the Queen. But this Drowsy does Thunder Wave instead of Hypnosis, which is fine because, again, Hypnosis is inaccurate, and I think she's hedging her bets on being able to special drop me and just bring down this Porygon, because people see Porygon and they're afraid it's going to heal forever, right? Well, with special drops, that's not possible. So I think that was the plan there. Ultimately, I think the Rapidash switch in was just a bit too risky right here. And I do value Drowsy more than Porygon, given what I see that she's revealed. So I'm just going to commit to Porygon here. Thankfully, she gets hacked, and I get another Blizzard off. Gonna Psychic me, I think gets the drop, right? So now I can't kill this Drowsy. And do I die here, or what? Oh, yeah, I do die. I get hacked, too. Alright, my own Drowsy, right? Yes. Finish that off. Now what are you gonna do? Arcanine, that's fine. Huge crit on that, so that's good. I got to move first, so there's special drop potential, even if I didn't get the crit. Ultimately, this Paralyzed Arcanon, I think, is a fine matchup because I can either special drop it or flash it to stay faster than it if it were to body slam paralyze me. So I think it's looking pretty okay with this matchup. And he doesn't get it, but even if she did, I'm just not used to girls playing this game. Even if she did, it wouldn't have mattered. I still would have been faster. Sorry for the desync there. I had to run it back. All right, she's going to go Fearow, and I'm thinking Hyper Beam, right? But is there anything I really want to switch into that Hyper Beam that matters? I guess if I'm feeling really ballsy, I could put in Rapidash and get off one Fire Blast because she won't be able to switch into Ammonite. And then maybe, get some use out of that Rapidash before it goes down. But this is the top of the ladder player here, and I'm not feeling too comfortable with that. I mean, she might just go ahead and do Double Edge or Drill Peck into an Agility, and boom, I'm still down anyway. So I was thinking about it, but I'm really uncomfortable with that. Also, Drowsy can still die in one shot anyway, so if I don't burn it or finish it off, then Drowsy's still going to die. So I'm just going to keep Drowsy in and get a nice Hyper Beam to the face there. Drowsy goes away. Oh, yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, yep. So I'm going to do the old bait and switch with Rapidash. I can't believe that worked. But I'm going to put in Rapidash, draw out the Ammonite, and boom, I'm going to give myself good matchups on everything coming in. So from here, I believe I'm going to do Thunderbolt, and I was kind of second guessing it, right? Because she could go her own Nidoqueen, and then, oh man, now I'm in a world of hurt. Now I'm in losing range, heavy in losing range there. But I think I do commit to Thunderbolt here, and this is why I think Thunderbolt is preferable to Blizzard, is because you have a matchup on Ammonite and Staryu. So no matter where she goes, unless it's Nidoqueen, then I'm going to pop off some nice damage. So boom, there it is. What? Okay, I'm crazy. I'm cracked. That's an even better idea. I forgot I had Substitute on this. So, I don't know. I mean, if it was another Nidoqueen, let me think. I mean, it's not too bad. I could survive, right? I could survive 2 hits, I think. No. I don't know the Nidoqueen calc, but Fearow's faster than Nidoqueen, so if she went back to Fearow, do a Thunderbolt. I don't know. I don't know if that was the right move, but I did it anyway. I guess I didn't know what to expect. But I think I get the kill here, right? Crit, yeah. I don't know if that was a kill without the crit. I don't think it was. But I still had the sub up, so I was going to commit anyway. All right, do a Thunderbolt there. Lol. Why you lolling at me? Why you lolling at me? Don't lol me. No, you can lol if you want. I don't care. But this puts me in a good setup against Fearow here, because I can get a free Thunderbolt. That's probably why she was lolling. It's because she knows she needs to break that sub, or she couldn't get the kill with Fearow. Yeah, so I can finish this Fearow with 2 Thunderbolts, and it can't Hyper Beam me to death. Crit on that. Huge. Now I'm gonna eat it with the Rapidash. Oh yes, and I have to do this sequence. It's the optimal sequence for me because I need to bait this Ammonite back in, or she's gonna save it. She's gonna put out Nidoqueen first. So I have to bait the Ammonite in and then put in Nidoqueen. Boom, there it is. Do some stomps. Give me a flinch. Give me a flinch. Not gonna happen. All right. But now I have to sequence Nidoqueen back in because I need Okay, I wasn't watching chat during this, but this is just straight up disrespectful. Because chat on mobile, you have to press the button. You can't actually see it. Nice robbery. Dude, you put Ammonite in. I don't know what to tell you. Nice robbery. I don't know. I guess losing your ladder spot kind of hits the psyche, especially with a person who's on their second game. But tilt, disrespect, no grace, no grace, no respect, no credit. Earthquake, and this is a tie here, but Arcanine could finish if I landed the Fire Blast. And let me think. Reflect. I don't know what the Reflect calc is, but I know, like, Reflect Arcanine can survive a Rhydon Earthquake with more than 50% health. And with a Nidoqueen, I think first turn Reflect into it, plus Fire Blast or even Body Slam could lay the finish if I didn't win the speed tie. But I think I do end up winning the speed tie here, so let's go. All right, good game, good stuff. Well played. All right, guys, so this is PU. Jump in, have fun, enjoy. I'll see you guys in another video.